process by removing corpses from the gas chambers and burning them. Concentration and extermination camps. March to the gas chambers. One of Sonderkommando photographs taken secretly at Auschwitz II in August 1944 at the camps of Operation Reinhard, including Belzec, Sobibor, and Treblinka. Trainloads of prisoners were murdered immediately after arrival in gas chambers designed exclusively for that purpose. 14. The mass killing facilities were developed at about the same time inside the Auschwitz II-Birkenau subcamp of a forced labor complex. 47, and at the Majdanek concentration camp. 14. In most other camps, prisoners were selected for slave labor first. They were kept alive on starvation rations and medi available to work as required. Auschwitz, Majdanek, and Jasenovac were retrofitted with Zyklon B gas chambers and crematoria buildings as the time went on, remaining operational until war's end in 1945. 48. Extermination procedure. Carpathian Ruthenian Jews arrive at Auschwitz-Birkenau, May 1944. Without being registered to the camp system, most were killed in gas chambers hours after arriving. Photograph from the Auschwitz album. Heinrich Himmler visited the outskirts of Minsk in 1941 to witness a mass shooting. He was told by the commanding officer there that the shootings were proving psychologically damaging to those being asked to pull the triggers. Thus, Himmler concluded that another method of mass killing was required. 49. Auschwitz Commandant Rudolf Höss claimed in his memoir that many Einsatzkommandos were unable to endure wading through blood any longer and went mad or killed themselves. But he gives no specific numbers to support this claim. 50. The Nazis had first used gassing with carbon monoxide cylinders to murder 70,000 disabled people in Germany in what they called a euthanasia program to disguise that mass murder was taking place. Despite the lethal effects of carbon monoxide, gas was seen as unsuitable for use in the East due to the cost of transporting the carbon monoxide in cylinders. 49. Each extermination camp operated differently, yet each had designs for quick and efficient industrialized killing. While Höss was away on an official journey in late August 1941, his deputy, Karl Fritsch, tested out an idea. At Auschwitz, clothes infested with lice were treated with crystallized prussic acid. The crystals were made to order by IG Farben Chemicals Company, for which the brand name was Zyklon B. Once released from their container, Zyklon crystals in the air released a lethal cyanide gas. Fritsch tried out the effect of Zyklon B on Soviet POWs, who were locked up in cells in the basement of the bunker for this experiment. Höss on his return was briefed and impressed with the results, and this became the camp strategy for extermination, as it was also to be at Majdanek. Besides gassing, the camp guards continued killing prisoners via mass shooting, starvation, torture, etc. 51. Gassings. SS Obersturmführer Kurt Gestein of the Institute for Hygiene of the Waffen-SS told a Swedish diplomat during the war about life in a death camp. He recounted that on the 19th of August, 1942, he arrived at Belzec extermination camp, which was equipped with carbon monoxide gas chambers, and was shown the unloading of 45 train cars filled with 6,700 Jews, many already dead. These were marched naked to the gas chambers, where Unterscharführer Hackenhold was making great efforts to get the engine running. But it doesn't go. Captain Worth comes up. I can see he is afraid, because I am present at a disaster. Yes, I see it all and I wait. My stopwatch showed it all, 50 minutes, 70 minutes, and the diesel engine did not start. The people wait inside the gas chambers. In vain. They can be heard weeping, like in the synagogue, says Professor Pfannenstiel, his eyes glued to a window in the wooden door. Furious, Captain Worth lashes the Ukrainian, Troniki, assisting Hakenhold 13 times, in the face. After 2 hours and 49 minutes the stopwatch recorded it all, the diesel started. Up to that moment, the people shut up in those 4 crowded chambers were still alive, 4 times 750 persons, in 4 times 45 cubic meters. Another 25 minutes elapsed. Many were already dead, that could be seen through the small window, because an electric lamp inside lit up the chamber for a few moments. After 28 minutes, only a few were still alive. Finally, after 32 minutes, all were dead. Dentists, then, hammered out gold teeth, bridges, and crowns. In the midst of them stood Captain Worth. He was in his element, and, showing me a large can full of teeth, he said, "See, for yourself, the weight of that gold. It's only from yesterday, and the day before. You can't imagine what we've found every day: dollars, diamonds, gold. You'll see for yourself." Kurt Gestein, 52, Auschwitz camp commandant Rudolf Hoss reported that the first time Zyklon B pellets were used on the Jews, many suspected they were to be killed despite having been deceived into believing they were to be delused and then returned to the camp. 53. As a result, the Nazis identified and isolated difficult individuals who might alert the prisoners, and removed them from the mass lest they incite revolt among the deceived majority of prisoners en route to the gas chambers. The difficult prisoners were led to a site out of view to be killed off discreetly. According to Hoss, enslaved prisoners, euphemistically called Sonderkommando, special detachment, assisted in the process of extermination. They encouraged the Jews to undress and accompanied them into the gas chambers, which were outfitted to appear as shower rooms, with no working water nozzles, and tile walls, and remained with the victims until just before their chamber door closed. To psychologically maintain the calming effect of the deluding deception, an SS man stood at the door until the end. The Sonderkommando talked to the victims about life in the camp to pacify the suspicious ones, and hurried them inside. To that effect, they also assisted the aged and the very young in undressing. 54. Many young mothers hid their infants beneath their piled clothes, fearing that the deluding disinfectant might harm them. Camp Commandant Hoss reported that the march of new arrivals along the SS barracks at Birkenau toward the gas chambers near Crematoria 2 and 3,27 May 1944. Photographed from the Auschwitz album, men of the special detachment were particularly on the lookout for this, and encouraged the women to take their children into the shower room. Likewise, the Sonderkommando comforted older children who might cry because of the strangeness of being undressed in this fashion. 55. Yet, not every prisoner was deceived by such tactics. Commandant Hoss spoke of Jews who either guessed, or knew, what awaited them. Nevertheless, they found the courage to joke with the children, to encourage them, despite the mortal terror visible in their own eyes. Some women would suddenly give the most terrible shrieks while undressing, or tear their hair, or scream like maniacs. These prisoners were taken away for execution by shooting. 56. In such circumstances, others, meaning to save themselves at the gas chamber's threshold, betrayed the identities and revealed the addresses of those members of their race still in hiding. 57. Once the door of the filled gas chamber was sealed, pellets of Zyklon B were dropped through special holes in the roof. Regulations required that the camp commandant supervise the preparations, the gassing, through a peephole, and the aftermath looting of the corpses. Commandant Hoss reported that the gassed victims showed no signs of convulsion. The Auschwitz camp physicians attributed that to the paralyzing effect on the lungs of the Zyklon B gas, which killed before the victim began suffering convulsions. 58. The corpses were additionally found half squatting, their spine discolored pink with red and green spots, with some foaming at the mouth or bleeding from their ears. exacerbated by the crowding in gas chambers. 59. The remnants of crematorium-2 used in Auschwitz-Birkenau between March 1943 and its destruction by the Scudstaffer on 20 January 1945. 50-2 crematorium ovens, including these, were used to burn the bodies of up to 6,000 people every 24 hours during the operation of Auschwitz-Birkenau gas chambers. 60. As a matter of political training, some high-ranked Nazi party leaders and SS officers were sent to Auschwitz-Birkenau to witness the gassings. As the Auschwitz camp commandant Rudolf Höss justified the extermination by explaining the need for their own determination with which we must carry out Hitler's orders. 61. Corpse disposal. After the gassings, the Sonderkommando removed the corpses from the gas chambers, then extracted any gold teeth. Initially, the victims were buried in mass graves. Few were later cremated during Sonderreaktion 1005 in all camps of Operation Reinhard. The Sonderkommando was responsible for burning the corpses in the pits. 62. Stoking fires, draining surplus body fat and turning over the mountain of burning corpses, so that the draft might fan the flames, wrote Commandant Höss in his memoir while in the Polish custody. 62. He was impressed by the diligence of prisoners from the so-called Special Detachment, who carried out their duties despite ever being well aware that they, too, would meet exactly the same fate in the end. 62. At the Lazari killing station they held the sick so they would never see the gun while being shot. They did it in such a matter-of-course manner that they might themselves have been the exterminators, wrote Höss. 62. He further said that Feminetons smoked even when engaged in the grisly job of burning corpses which had been lying for some time in mass graves. 62. They occasionally encountered the corpse of a relative, or saw them entering the gas chambers. According to Höss, they were obviously shaken by this, but it never led to any incident. He mentioned the case of a Sonderkommando who found the body of his wife, yet continued to drag corpses along as though nothing had happened. 62. At Auschwitz, the corpses were incinerated in crematoria and the ashes either buried, scattered, or dumped in the river. At Sobibor, Treblinka, Belzec, and Chalmo, the corpses were incinerated on pyres. The efficiency of industrialized murder at Auschwitz-Birkenau led to the construction of 3 buildings with crematoria designed by specialists from the firm J. Topf and Son. They burned bodies 24 hours a day, and yet the death rate was at times so high that corpses also needed to be burned in open-air pits. 63. Victims. The estimated total number of people who were murdered in the 6 Nazi extermination camps is 2.7 million, according to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. 64. Camp estimated deaths operation in occupied territory. Current country of location primary means for mass killings Auschwitz-Birkenau 1,100,000. 65. May 1940 January 1945 Province of Upper Silesia Poland Zyklębie Treblinka 800,000. 66. 23 July 1942 the 19th of October 1943 General Government District Pollard Carbon Monoxide Gas Combus Belzec 600,000. 67. 17 March 1942 End of June 1943 General Government District Pollard Carbon Monoxide Gas Combustion 320000. 68 8 December 1941 March 1943 June 1944 the 18th of January 1945 District of Reichsvorwartheland Pollard Carbon Monoxide of Sobibor 250000. 69. 16 May 1942 the 17th of October 1943 General Government District Pollard Carbon Monoxide Gas Combus Mage Danek at least 80,000. 70. 1 October 1941 the 22nd of July 1944 General Government District Holandzyklon Guskambers. Dismantling and attempted concealment. Former Sonderkommando 1005 slave laborers stand next to a bone-crushing machine at the Janauska concentration camp. Photo taken in August 1944, after camp's liberation. The Nazis attempted to either partially or completely dismantle the extermination camps in order to hide any evidence that people had been murdered.